and truthful manner. These are not.
Updates on some key wide receivers. George Pickens of the Cowboys expected to get the franchise tag before the March 3rd deadline. That'll keep him in Dallas at least another year, and they work on a long-term deal. Tyreek Hill is a free agent for the first time after being released this week by the Dolphins. Hill played in only 4 games this past season after dislocating his knee in week 4. Turns 32 this weekend. And Mike Evans will return for a 13th NFL season in 2026 after an injury-plagued season saw him play a career-low 8 games. Evans currently a free agent and turns 33 in August. I want to go back, though, to George Pickens. RC, how difficult do you think getting a long-term – we ask this about the Cowboys and somebody every year. How challenging is it going to be to get a long-term deal done with Pickens?
I mean, are you going to be able to get Tracy Morgan to stick to the script when he comes on later? Because that's about how difficult I think this is going to be. What I know is this. The Dallas Cowboys are going to franchise George Pickens. But Pickens' agent, David Mulligetta, once famously told me, I'm never taking $9 on 10, and most of the time I want 11. And that's exactly how George Pickens will approach this deal. Not like he's the 1B, not like he's an elite 2, but like he's the number 1 wide receiver on this team. And so Jerry will not have the opportunity in this sense to say we don't need the agent, because they will need the agent. George Pickens went out and proved how well he can play. He kept his nose clean away from some of the antics that we saw in Pittsburgh. And so now we'll see if he's able to get the money that he's earned.
Well, look, we always try to stick to the script in football and talk about the game on the grass. Look, this thing is the boost your earning potential. And that's what George Pickens did this year. He boosted it in a way where he is going to be the number 1 receiver for somebody if he's not getting number 1 receiver money in Dallas, and rightfully so. Like, he came from Pittsburgh. We saw the potential. RC went on record saying this dude had more talent than most of everybody in the NFL, and he put it on display this year. He was a big part of what Dallas did offensively. Dak loves him. We saw Dak at the Pro Bowl. He talked about we got to get George Pickens back. So I don't think – I'm with you, RC. And let me let America know something. When RC sitting like this and doing this, and he goes, something about to be hard. Something about to be hard. Like something is going to be very difficult for somebody to do, or he finna crash out on somebody. So look, this may become a very contentious negotiation because George Pickens increased his earnings potential, and we know who his agent is, and we know the value.
We know the value
of a number 1 wide receiver and how teams look at that in this modern football.
Talent never in question with George Pickens. He put it all together this past year, career highs in catches, yards, and touchdowns. We will obviously continue to monitor that situation throughout the offseason. Cowboys have made changes on the defensive side. Matt Eberflus, Cowboys defensive coordinator, Christian Parker in. Parker, most recently the Eagles passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach. Here's what he had to say about his plans for the Dallas defense.
You
want to have your core principles and foundational beliefs, but as you kind of move forward in the process, what do your guys do well? How can you put good players in highlighted positions? How can you create one-on-ones for certain guys? How you can protect certain guys? If we can win on blitzes on a running back, then we're going to blitz a lot. If we got good man-to-man corners, we're going to play man. If we have guys that are better with zone vision, we're going to play more zone. So, you want to build a package that has diversity and scheme, and then you want to, tailor it to the players.
Nowhere to go but up for the Cowboys defense. They allowed the most points per game of any team in the league this past season, and the most the Cowboys have allowed in any season since 1960, which was the first year of their existence. Third down defense also the worst in the NFL. So, Marcus, a lot of work to be done to fix this defense. How should the Cowboys approach this offseason?
Just fall back. No, he didn't just fall back. You got nowhere to go but up.
All right, because I think
he was disappearing in the shrub.
He didn't like the research notes.
The research notes were awful. Okay, I didn't expect that, so I had to recover from that. Christian Parker has a lot on his hands, and first and foremost, this offseason is the most important part for his defense.
That is,
it's about acquiring personnel that can execute the scheme that he talked about. It's about
Yes.
making sure that you build this pass rush. We know what this league is about. We know it's no coincidence that the teams we saw in the last games and in the playoffs, they were getting after the quarterback and they were making plays from a defensive standpoint. So that is what he's going to have to try to build. I think you have a centerpiece there with what they were able to do with Quentin Williams. I think you have an opportunity for DeMarion Overshawn to come back and be a budding player that we saw a lot of potential, but the secondary has to get fixed. And I'll let RC lean into that. But more importantly, you have to feel like you have the right personnel in order to execute all of those things that Christian Parker said. So this will be about Jerry. This will be about Will McClay. It'll be about Steven. It'll be about that brass making sure that they get the personnel. I think Max Crosby, if in any way they can acquire him, I think that should be on the table. I think Tariq Woolen should be on the table from Seattle as well. Those are two players that I think would change immediately the identity of this offense. And you talk about
this offense
pairing Max Crosby alongside with Quentin Williams, that is the potential to be a dominant front when you start talking about the way that you have to play football now.
Okay.
I tell you what, Graz, if this team...
You just lost me there with, he said offense. Well, good evening, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I appreciate each and every one of you guys being here and being part of the show. I see Jeff Lee. My name is Jeff, and I like boobies. There's Dan, 1995. We got Lady Libra in the house. Alan Williams is there. And the lovely and talented Holly Pierce. What's up, Holly? Lady Libra double dipping on both channels. Appreciate you very much. We got Lead Commander here hating everything the Cowboys do. And just like Momo, not looking at his trashy ass team and about the problems they have. We got Thomas Garrett. What's going up? Thomas Garrett Jr., 94-91. Brock's in the house. What's up, Brock? Let's see. Who else is in here? Jeff Lee, Alan Williams, Holly Pierce, Lady Libra. Welcome, everybody. So we are weekend number 2 of the offseason, and we've had our first move made for the Dallas Cowboys, creating $6.5 million of cap space. The mistake that they made on Logan Wilson, the Cincinnati Bengals apparently got one over on us. I must say that he must be, in Logan Wilson, his body must be spent. It was crazy that when you start hearing some of the things about our defensive coaching staff and our defense, when we sit here and remember, there were people who were like, well, why didn't Logan Wilson play? And they literally said he was part of our game plan. What happened? Oh, we forgot he was there. We forgot to play him. You forgot to do what? We just forgot to put him in the game. How bad must Logan Wilson have been that he literally could not get in front of Kenneth Murray? Been watching for a minute. I guess I should mention I'm a Libra. Yo, Leonard, what's going on, Leonard? Welcome. Appreciate you being a Libra, just like me. I'm a Libra. Yeah, born in October. He could not get on the field over Kenneth Murray. That tells you how bad it must have been. That's pretty bad. The good thing is there was no guaranteed money left on his contract. And so it's $6.5 million that was part of our salary cap that has no dead money. So that's an easy one. Oh, you mean we don't owe him anything? We're not going to take a cap hit? See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Oh, shit. So now we go from $30 million in the hole to 23.5. And that's before we get the rollover of $21 million. And that's before we get the $25 million. That's salary cap. It's going to go up. And that's before we cut anybody else. There's other fat out there that we can cut, and we're going to get into that in a little bit here too. But before we do, let's get into Sleeper.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code JOBRO. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Make sure you call your shot on Sleeper here too. So, yeah. The Cowboys only have money problems if they want to have money problems. The Cowboys have, as I've been pointing out for a while here, okay, now people are finally getting on board with it. Some things I've been talking about from comp picks, from weeks ago, months ago even, about the triggers and how the Cowboys could get easily over $100 million of cap space if they wanted to by the restructures that they build into the contracts. By comparison, we can get about $131 million if we flipped all the triggers. And I'm not recommending that we flip all the triggers. There's some triggers you say, we're worried about longevity on a contract. You don't want to flip a trigger if you're going to get rid of a guy. And that's one of the things that will let you know a player's on the hot seat is if they flip the trigger, they're planning on that player being here for more than 1 year. If they hesitate to put a trigger on, then they're looking and saying that the end is sooner than later. So with somebody like Deron Bland, who I hope is not going to end up being roadkill like Trayvon Diggs, he had the great season, incredible season, record-breaking season, a decent one after that, but then has been injured quite a bit. You'll remember 2 years ago he missed about 11 games with the plantar fasciitis. It kept being that every week, it was going to be, he's getting close, and it was literally the week the season was over before he played. And this year, of course, he had to shut it down early too with the plantar fasciitis. And so that gives you kind of pause of, is this a guy who's injury prone and is not going to be able to be there for long? And as they always say, your best ability is your availability. So you may not want to flip the trigger on Deron Bland because what that does is it gives you cap relief now, but it kicks the money down the road. Now, if it's a player that you know that you're going to have for multiple years, you can look at it, with, say, CeeDee Lamb. You look at CeeDee Lamb and say, we're going to the third year of his contract. You can flip the trigger because you figure that you'll probably get another contract for him, in which case you can spread that money out down the road. And if the Cowboys flip the trigger on Dak Prescott, you can best believe that they're looking at him for at least 2 more seasons after this year. Because, again, you look at this as we have time on our side. Terrence Steele, Miss Gibson in the house. What's up, Kiana? Taylor Wakefield, hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's doing supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. So, 2 ones that I would be Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele is one of our highest cap hits that we have. If I go through, let me pull it up real quick here. If I go through, the wind is kicking out here. This weather is crazy because it was 65 degrees today. It was warm as could be. I was out in short sleeves. In fact, I had to open up the windows in the house we were working on because it got a little warm in there. I'm like, it's kind of warm. Let's get some air going. And Brock, I'll get to the Max Crosby trade to Dallas for Pickens, a rumor. That is not even a rumor. That's a proposed trade. That is Dan Graziano says, hey, how about this one? There's no Dallas Cowboys are thinking, hey, we're going to call the Raiders and say, here's a trade for you. All right, so right now as we sit here, and before I get into, I guess, Terrence Steele, I have to deal with Tony Romo. Tony Romo kind of put Dak on blast. Oh, shit. Greg in the house. What's up, Greg? How are you doing? Tony Romo kind of said, well, with Dak Prescott's contract, that's part of the reason why they couldn't re-sign Micah Parsons, and that he's a $74 million hit, which is true. He is a $74 million hit this year. However, there is the triggers that we've been talking about. In the same way, Pat Mahomes was $78 million. They flipped the trigger, and they saved about $40 million. That's how they got cap room. These are built-in ways of accounting and taking care of your players. So Dak, you can flip the trigger on his and go from $74 million to $43 million. Just like that. $31 million of cash. CeeDee Lamb, whose first year was $8.5 million, last year was $13 million cap hit because they used the triggers, currently is a $38 million cap hit, and you can drop that to 19. Tyler Smith is the next highest one at 27. And again, you can flip the trigger. You can have whatever you like, and you can pull off $17 million. Tyler, whoa! Tyler Wake, damn! 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 Now, that's a super chat there that I can definitely get behind. Shout out to Tyler Wake, man, with the big 1999 super chat. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Wilson didn't play the DC spat. Yeah, but apparently, here's the thing that you have to wonder. Okay, that may be true. He didn't play to defensive coordinator spat. But the new guys said, we don't need him. At $6.5 million, we don't need him. We're looking in other directions. And that says to me that we're going to be addressing that in free agency and or the draft. We're going to get younger. And see, this is my thing right now with the Cowboys. Going into this season, the Cowboys were one of the younger teams in the NFL. And I think they want to continue this whole trend. And see, this is where you look at somebody like George Pickens, who's only 25 years old. You look at this and say, if we can keep his attitude together, he's going to be good for the next 4, 5, 6 years, conceivably. He's young. You want to keep him. And I'm sick and tired of everybody turning around wanting to get rid of great talent. Okay, so Tony Romo, after basically saying Dak Prescott is the reason why, we can't afford to have players and we lost Micah Parsons, I'm not sure that that was the sole reason we lost it. Because some of that was Micah Parsons, sleeping on the table. Some of that was Micah Parsons, grandstanding and doing some of the things that Micah Parsons does, the show and things like that, and throwing his players under the bus and maybe not getting along with his teammates as well as you would like. And the fact that he was looking for $47 million. Now, I'll be real with you. If we had spent $47 million last year for Micah Parsons and we didn't get Quentin Williams or Kenny Clark, are we really saying that the defense was going to be good enough to make the playoffs? With all the problems that we had? I don't think so. I don't think so. And knowing, this is where I'm kind of surprised that Tony Romo is joining all of the others out there with the Dak hate, that Dak Prescott is the reason for everything that's wrong with the Cowboys and the reason why we're not winning Super Bowls, when he was here for the lion's share of that as well. So if you're saying that Dak is the reason why we didn't win Super Bowls because of his contract, Tony, what was your excuse? Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Mark, Dallas needs to try and land clap downs. He's going to be a game changer on defense, but I'm afraid Giants are going to get him at number 5. Brock, I'm going to say this. Philly D in the house. What's up, Philly D? I'm going to say, remember last year how everybody was Abdul Carter? Oh, my God. You got to get Abdul Carter. He is Micah Parsons 2.0. He wasn't a bad player, but was he as good as everybody hyped him? Let me look at. I'm curious. Wait a minute, Abdul. Let me see where his Abdul Carter. Let me look at his stats here. I'm just saying. So Abdul Carter, remember, everybody was, oh my God, you got to get Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter, he going to be a game changer. Micah Parsons 2.0. His overall grade last year, 74.7, 29th of defensive ends. 29th? Remember when everybody talked about Abdul Carter? Now, I'm not going to say that Downs isn't down. I'm not going to say that he might not be great. But I remember Morris Claiborne. Everybody said how big of a shutdown guy he was going to be and doing, he was going to be great things. And the Cowboys traded a first and a second for him and lost both of those picks because he could never stay healthy. See, here's my problem. Dan Graziano comes through and he says, proposed trade. George Pickens to the Raiders and your number 20 pick, and you end up getting Max Crosby and their 36th pick, the second round. Okay. What if hypothetically, last year we got Tyler Booker, right? Now forget the Mozzie Smith one. Before that, we got Tyler Smith. Did we get Tyler Smith before that? I'm missing somebody. Tyler Guyton. But hypothetically. So let's say hypothetically you were ending up trading George Pickens and potentially Tyler Smith for Max Crosby and a second-round pick that's boss man fat. If I said that, would you make that trade? If I said trade George Pickens and Tyler Smith for Max Crosby and boss man fat, would you make that trade? I hope not. I am so sick and tired of us always taking something that we have good. Let's trade that and hope that we're going to get even better because, of course, the trade is going to favor us. Y'all stop playing fantasy fucking football. How am I doing? Philly D, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good because you're here, and I hope you're doing good as well, buddy. Appreciate the super chat. So why is it whenever we have good players, and we don't have a whole lot of them, we're always talking, well, trade him. Trade him. Let me ask you this. How many players did the Eagles trade away to get better? Seriously. How many players did the Eagles trade away to get better? I can't think of any major ones that they've traded away to win. When the Rams won the Super Bowl, how many players did they trade for to get better? Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller. They brought in Odell Beckham Jr. They didn't trade away talent so they could go win a Super Bowl. They brought in more talent. So why are we backwards and saying, hey, we got George Pickens, let's trade him for Max Crosby? Max Crosby, who's never had a playoff win in his career. That's the thing I'm trying to understand here. You potentially have two number one. So let's say our two number ones are CeeDee Lamb and Tyler Smith, or CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. Why would you want to trade one of those guys away? Because potentially that's what you're doing. Kaylant, you know why I'm bringing, I want to give you the real reason why. Kaylant, okay, because see, I love how y'all come. Why are you always bringing up the Eagles? First of all, the Philadelphia Eagles are a team that's in our division. We must play them twice a year. I believe I just brought up Abdul Carter, who was with the New York Giants. Did I not? Did I not? Did I not? I believe I did. I believe I did. Second thing, as much as I hate to admit it, the Eagles are the class of the division and the team that we are chasing, and you can learn from people who are better than you. People who are doing things the correct way, you want to emulate. You don't want to do what the idiot who's in the gutter is doing and emulate it. That's not the guy you want to copy. You want to learn from people who are successful, people who are doing things correctly. So why do you have a problem with me mentioning the Eagles? You should be, hey, he's striving to be like the Philadelphia Eagles. We must be doing something right. Is this, you are not allowed to talk about, look, you've got to have tunnel vision. You cannot say their name or you will be condemned to hell. What the fuck is wrong with you people? If you don't like me mentioning the Eagles, then step the fuck out. What? Did I denigrate the Eagles? Did I say something bad about the Eagles? I said, do you see the Philadelphia Eagles trading away their talent to try and get better? That's a compliment, jackass. You're winning, and what you are doing is winning. So, hey, let me be like that. You think when I'm trying to find different tips on how to build, I'm going to the guy whose house just fell down that he just built? Or I'm going to go to the guy who's the master carpenter and knows his shit? What is wrong with you people? Jesus Christ. Sorry, Lord. Seriously. I actually give the Eagles credit and a compliment. Why are you always talking about the Eagles? Well, jackass, are you an Eagle fan? Why are you always in the Cowboys chat talking about why are we talking about the Eagles? Damn. I believe Clint. I answered it because the Eagles are good. They're doing things the right way. My team's not, and I'm trying to learn from them. Okay? The Eagles, forgive me for bringing their name up. Please, lightning bolt, strike me down. The Eagles, instead of getting rid of talent, try to stockpile talent. I know that the Dak Prescott haters out there will always say the Cowboys' problem is Dak Prescott. You've had great players like Cedric Wilson and wide receivers. Okay, because he's just lighting it up like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That you've had great defenses. Okay, I say name me before Quentin Williams one great defensive tackle that we've had in the last 20 years. Since Jay Ratcliffe. Tell me somebody on the interior defensive line that you would want to have on the Eagles that the Dallas Cowboys have had over the last 20 years. Or on the Commanders. That people look and said, oh, man, hey, I want that defensive tackle. We've had guys like Tristan Hill. We've had guys, I still like John Ridgeway. Don't say nothing bad about John Ridgeway. John Ridgeway was a player. We've had guys like Quentin Bohannon, okay? We have had journeymen after journeymen and guys that were just straight up. We had Mozzie. I loved Mozzie. His mom was really nice. But Mozzie, I don't know what happened to him, bro. Our defensive interior has sucked forever. Yes, we had a stud in Micah Parsons. You can't say that Micah Parsons wasn't great. But the thing about Micah Parsons is he's a guy who your defense needs to have an offense that's in the lead. You're playing with the lead because then you can maximize his talents, which is getting upfield and rushing the passer. We all know that Micah Parsons is not a run stopper. D-Law was a better run stopper, but he was a guy who couldn't rush the passer the same way that Micah Parsons did. And by the time we get to the playoffs, because we have been so top-heavy and getting rid of the good players, you want to know how bad it gets to be? I mean, just think about it. Think about a couple of years ago when we had Stephon Gilmore, although literally they say he can't play anymore. But we let go Stephon Gilmore. We lost Leighton Vander Esch, right? Dorrance Armstrong goes. Dante Fowler goes. You ended up losing talent after talent after talent. And you replace them with guys like Kenneth Murray. And when we do have good players like Micah Parsons, well, we can't sign him. Got to let him go. Got to let him go. And now we got people that are out here talking about trading George Pickens for Max Crosby. Bro, I don't have any say over it, but no way, no how. After what happened with Micah Parsons and letting him go, the Cowboys cannot let George Pickens go. They got to work this thing out for a multitude of reasons. Because here's my thing with George Pickens, okay? And don't tell me you can't afford him, because as I go through here talking about the triggers, Quentin Williams is a $21 million hit, but you can flip a trigger for Quentin Williams and save $14.5 million right there. You just saved with Logan Wilson $6.5 million. And I was talking about Terrence Steele is an $18 million hit. Terrence freaking Steele. If you're telling me you can afford Terrence Steele, but not George Pickens, I'm going to bitch slap you. I'm serious. You better not come in my house and say, oh, well, we can't afford George Pickens. But, Terrence Steele, I'm okay with that. Terrence Steele, you could cut him tomorrow and save $9 million. Or make him a June 1st and end up saving $14 million. I hear what you're saying, though, Brock, about Clab Downs. He's a game changer. I look at it this way, and I'm not trading 2 for 1. Like I said, if you're saying I got to take my first 2 picks to move up to get Clab Downs, potentially that's CeeDee Lamb and Tyler Smith. Would you trade Tyler Smith and CeeDee Lamb for the potential of one guy? I wouldn't. Not when I need help across the board. And let's go back here for a second with the whole CeeDee Lamb thing. Let's go back to this thing. Do you look at this and say, I get Max Crosby and I get a second-round draft pick and I lose CeeDee Lamb? I lose George Pickens. Or because Max Crosby will be a $30 million hit, $31 million. If you get George Pickens done, you can make him about an $8.5 million hit for next year. Do I look at this and say, I can take $22 million and I can go ahead and take that with George Pickens, and I could probably sign Bradley Chubb and Quincy Williams and still have some change? I must have Mark on Friday. Smash that like. Oh, shit. Damn, Rhonda, you must have me on Friday nights. Friday night, I just got paid checking out the fellas with the high top fades, right? Oh, shit. Okay. So, hypothetically, are the Cowboys a better team getting Max Crosby, losing George Pickens, and a number 1 pick? Or are the Cowboys a better team and signing George Pickens to a long-term contract, keeping their 20th pick, signing, say, Quincy Williams or Nakobe Dean. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I mentioned the Eagles again. Oh, man, please. Clint, don't get mad, Clint. I want one of your good players. Keeping George Pickens, signing a Bradley Chubb or a Nakobe Dean, right? Keeping their 20th pick and still having some money to sign somebody else. Bradley Chubb, Quincy Williams, and keeping George Pickens or Max Crosby. And that's how you have to start looking at these things. And I wish that they would do this on ESPN, because all you keep hearing is this, well, you get Max Crosby, it changes the defense. It does, but if you don't have any cornerbacks that can hold anybody, that can lock some guys down, bro, quick hitters. Guys wide open. If you don't have some linebackers that can fill in, that can tackle, it ain't going to matter. And mind you, let me ask you this. What were the Raiders' defense with Max Crosby on it last year? Let me look at the. I just bear with me for 1 second here, because I'm actually scoring defense. Scoring defense in 25. Let me see what the Raiders were with Max Crosby. I'm just hypothetical because I'm not sure what they were. Seattle, number 1. Oh, they were Super Bowl champions, weren't they? Well, damn. Houston Texans, they were number 2. Another playoff team. New England, 7.9. You know what's funny is I don't see anybody ranked 30 in the playoffs deep. Denver, 18.5. Shit. Kansas City's the first one, 19.3, that wasn't a playoff team. The Eagles, 19.3. Chargers, 19.8. Jacksonville, 20.2. Rams, 21.3. Green Bay, 21.7. Buffalo, 22. Damn. So of the top 12 teams in scoring defense, Kansas City and Minnesota, only 2 of the top 12 scoring defenses didn't make the playoffs? Wow. That's pretty amazing. So the Raiders, well, damn. So wait a minute. Hold up. So you're telling me that the Raiders, with Max Crosby, gave up 25th most points on defense? 25.4? So does that mean that Max Crosby alone can't make a defense great? I'm asking a real question. I'm serious, because I can say, listen to me. Listen to this for a second here. I want you to understand this. When you say trade George Pickens and your first round pick, number 20, to the Raiders for Max Crosby, you are potentially saying, let me trade George Pickens and Tyler Smith to the Raiders for Max Crosby and potentially Boss Man Fat with our drafting record. And Max Crosby, who's supposed to be a game changer, who is supposed to immediately make our defense legitimate, was on the 25th scoring defense in the NFL. And you're going to tell me, oh, well, they didn't have any players on their defense. We don't have any players on our defense. We literally just got rid of Logan Wilson, who wasn't good enough to supplant Kenneth Murray. You understand that, right? That Logan Wilson, a guy we traded for, wasted a pick, was not good enough to supplant Kenneth Murray. And Kenneth Murray, I don't know, bro. I've never seen somebody go to the wrong hole so many times. I bet his girlfriend is saying, that's not it. That's not, Kenneth, damn it. I told you that's not it. That's the wrong one. You done missed again, damn it. You know, I'm serious. Kenneth Murray could not find the hole if his life depended on it. And yet, Logan Wilson could not replace him. Bro, so if you're telling me Kenneth Murray was one of the worst, I think he was second worst linebacker. I don't know who was worse than him. But Logan Wilson couldn't replace him. And all we really have is we have Samar, who's coming back, and he's okay. But I'm not sure he's ready to be a lights-out linebacker. And we have Overshown. So you're going to tell me that we're going to trade for Max Crosby, we're going to give up a first-round pick and George Pickens, and we're going to replace it with a second-round pick, and we're going to be better? You'd have lost your damn mind. Seriously. And we're going to spend more money by doing that. You'd have lost your damn mind. No way, no how that makes sense. And I don't think that's the Cowboys talking. That's the talking heads to try and stir shit up. Because these are the same people who said, George Pickens, I wouldn't want him on my team. Oh, he's a cancer. The Cowboys, they wasted a pick. You know what? You know what was a wasted pick? The third-round pick that the Eagles traded for Jahan Dotson. That was a wasted pick there. Nobody talked about how bad that pick was for the Eagles, right? We get George Pickens, and every freaking week they're talking about, this might be the week. This might be the week that he explodes. And the other part of this thing that they don't seem to understand and not give credit to is the fact that part of the reason why he played so good and why he was so happy was because of the quarterback that he had throwing him the football, who got him the football to maximize what he's doing. So if you're trading for George Pickens and expect the results, you might want to take Dak Prescott with him. And you can tell me Dak Prescott sucks and all that, and he's ruining players' careers, but Dak Prescott gets people paid. Dak Prescott gets people yardage. Like I pointed out with Cedric Wilson, who Philly 500, Dak's had great talent. He had Cedric Wilson. I couldn't believe that shit actually came out of his mouth. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? Cedric Wilson had one good year, and it was with Dak Prescott. 650 yards. And it was because we had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott made him. Take a look. He went to Miami. Couldn't get on the damn field. Hasn't had 650 yards combined the last 3 years. Clint? Okay, Clint. I'm going to say this, Clinton. If you had to do over, who would you rather have? Jahan Dotson for a third-round pick or George Pickens? I'll wait. And Dotson benefits from having two great wide receivers in front of him. So it should be easy. Unlike George Pickens having to be the number 2 wide receiver. Just saying. Jahan Dotson is not a game changer. Dak got to step up his game when it's on the line. All I'm saying is the same thing for the same years. Well, let me go back to it. Herein lies the problem for the Cowboys. The Cowboys are always having 6, 7, 8, 9 Pro Bowlers. I'm not going to lie to you. Although a lot of that's just a popularity contest because we got more Cowboy fans that vote than anybody else. But here's the problem. When you see the Seattle Seahawks, which had the number 1 scoring defense, They didn't ask Sam Darnold to have to win every single game, guys. And when you lost one player, your team didn't go to shit because you have other good players around them. In the years that we had Micah Parsons, you had 2 good years of Diggs. You had 1 great year of Deron Bland. You had some consistency with D-Law, but also a lot of games missed because he was injured. Linebacker was constantly a problem. And I ask you, who else on that defense? And mind you, against the 49ers, we played a safety at linebacker because we didn't have any healthy linebackers. I ask you, who else in that defense was good? Didn't really have them. And that's the difference of winning a Super Bowl. I look at what the Eagles were when they won the Super Bowl just a year and a couple weeks ago. Their offensive line was one of the best offensive lines I've seen since the Cowboys in the 90s. Ain't going to lie to you. After that Super Bowl, I said the Eagles – oh, damn. Did I mention the Eagles again? Oh, my God. Clint, I'm sorry. I mentioned the Eagles. When I looked at the Eagles at the end of after that Super Bowl, I said they were the closest thing that I'd seen since the Cowboys. I said, look at their offense. Best running back in football was Emmitt Smith. Hurts was playing when he had to play. Kind of like Troy Aikman. I know, sorry, Cowboy fans, but he was asked to do like Troy Aikman did. You got 2 great receivers, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Your offensive line was mauling people like the Great Wall of Dallas. Your defense was killing people. It was a group of thugs. And I looked at that and I'm like, where's the weakness on that team? Seriously, where was the weakness? I can always point to the Cowboys and say, Tyron Smith was a shell of himself for the last few years. He could play sometimes. Other times he was just kind of there. Our offensive line was so bad that we ended up bringing in Jason Peters, and he couldn't play for more than 25 plays a game. After we lost Travis Frederick, we've had a hole at center until we got Cooper Beebe 2 years ago. I love Joe Looney Tunes, but he wasn't a great center. Biotish, when you had a big defensive lineman, they could pick him up and drop him in the lap of Dak Prescott. Guards, yeah, we had great guard. Zach Martin. But the last year Zach Martin was here, it was bad, man. He for the first time in my career, I saw him just getting beat. And Terrence Steele? Do we look at Terrence Steele and say Terrence Steele's been a great right tackle? No. You can't convince me that we have a lights-out franchise. Our offensive line has been in flux for about the last 7 years. We got good wide receivers now in CD and George Pickens, and we got 3 really good interior offensive linemen, Tyler Smith, Tyler Booker, and Cooper Beebe. Tyler Guyton can't stay healthy. Terrence Steele, great run blocker, but sucks in pass coverage. So you can't convince me that my problems are Dak Prescott, the quarterback, solely. I ain't got what everybody else has got. And nobody wins by constantly getting rid of talent. You cannot get rid of Mark Butthurt Holmes. Cowboys stink. Well, thank you very much there, Jermaine. I appreciate the hate. Saints will win a Super Bowl with Kellen Moore. Okay. We'll wait and see on that one. Saints versus Cowboys in the Superdome. I've done that before. I have been in the Superdome when you've played the Cowboys, and it wasn't pretty. We got our teeth kicked in. Enjoyed the food, though. And always love going to New Orleans. And mind you, I do have to say that Michael Irvin was correct about Super Bowls in San Francisco. The one I went to in 2016, I think it was, it wasn't great. It really wasn't great. The place where all Super Bowls should be New Orleans. I ain't going to lie to you. I am not going to lie. No, you get to downtown New Orleans, the hotels are there. You got Bourbon Street right there. You can walk to the Superdome. They've got the streetcars that are there and everything else to take you wherever you need to go. You got the casino. Everything is within walking distance. They're used to entertaining and having a lot of people come there. You don't have to have a car at that Super Bowl. When you're out in San Francisco, Santa Clara and San Francisco are about 43 miles away. It's too spread out. And I'm going to say, I don't love everything about Dallas. That Super Bowl in Dallas, and especially if they ever have one again, you know they're going to have some stuff at the Star. They're going to have the game, of course, in Arlington. And then you have stuff that's in Irving. Everything is so spread out, you're driving around like crazy. And when I was there for the Super Bowl, we had the ice storm. That shit was crazy. You had literally ice falling, ice, baby, falling off of the roof and hitting people. So I'm not even going to say Super Bowl should be in Dallas. Although Detroit was pretty good. Detroit was pretty good. New York, nah, too cold. Too cold, and busing everybody from New York City to New Jersey and back, no, that shit was a poot screw. Nope. I will say, though, Indy was pretty good, even though it's a cold run of the city, because once you're in downtown, they got all the tunnels between the buildings and stuff. That was pretty good, too. Okay. San Francisco, though, sucked. All right. Eagles, Jermaine is an Eagle podcast here. See, this is what's funny is, why is it Eagles fans and podcasters descend upon Cowboys? We should be like a pimple on your ass that you don't really care about. We're just the Cowboys. You are like, almost Super Bowl defending champions a couple weeks ago. Why do you care about the lowly ass Cowboys? Oh, we did win a Super Bowl. Of course we did. Yes, in New Orleans. Jerry Jones wants to trade Dak and build around a new quarterback. Clint, bro. What the hell's going on? Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Clint. No, wrong one. Damn, where is it? Oh, it's not here.
Situation requires is a whole lot more, and you shut your motherfucking ass up.
That's for you, Clint. Shut your motherfucking ass up. Okay. All right, so Rhonda, we're so happy you finally moved out of your parents' house. Took you 60 years, but it's a start. What? Hi, No Face Cowboy. What's up, No Face Cowboy? Mark Holmes, you're always welcome, the Eagles fan, to the start of your videos. I always do. Listen, I don't have it. Here's the thing. I go on the Dan Saleo show every week. Okay? Philly 500 and I talk all the time. I don't have any hate with Philadelphia Eagle fans. I don't even have anything negative to say about what they say about me and all that. But I get Eagle fans, y'all come in here and y'all, tell me, why are you talking about the Eagles? Because there's a million of your jackasses here like cockroaches. Tammy's in the house. What's up, Tammy? No Face Cowboy, how you doing, buddy? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. I'm just trying to understand you Eagle fans. Y'all getting me all worked up for no good reason. All right, let's get to the Dak Prescott controversy. And no, I'm not talking about Tony Romo saying it's Dak's fault that he makes too much money. I think that's just jealous-ass Tony Romo, who's still butthurt because he lost his job to Dak Prescott. But you tell me on this one.
These are my top 5 NFC quarterbacks, and I know it's going to make some people furious. Number 5, this one was the toughest one. It's between Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, all these guys. In my opinion, right now, it's Brock Purdy. Love the way he's playing. When he's healthy, he's a baller. He's paid like a top 5 quarterback. I just think he is the answer in the franchise for the San Francisco 49ers. When they get some more weapons, they're going to be dangerous. Number 4, got to put him here. Jared Goff. Love the way this guy is playing. Completely turned his career around from when he was with the Rams. He's become an elite quarterback. He's just been a baller at times. He struggled a little bit this past year, but he makes the Lions Alliance extremely good decision maker. Number 3, Jordan Love. Ceiling for him is so high. 3,700 passing yards, 27 passing touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. There's been some ups. There's been some downs through his career. I think he's trending up. Him and LaFleur, they can be dangerous. The Packers should be lucky to have him. He's their franchise quarterback. Number 2, Dak Prescott, and he almost made number 1. I love the way Dak Prescott's playing. At times this past year, when you watch the film and you really dig into it, he was playing better than any other quarterback in the entire NFL. 4,500 passing yards, 30 touchdowns. I'm telling you right now, Dak Prescott's going to be dangerous. If the Cowboys can get a defense, they got a shot. Number 1, easy, Matthew Stafford. He's getting better with age. It's not even close. MVP, 5,600 passing yards and 52 passing touchdowns. Are you kidding me? He carried the Rams this year from the first game on, had a big run for him. In my opinion, Matthew Stafford is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer someday. All right, guys, what do you think of my list? Did it make some furious? Who did I leave out?
Apparently, it definitely made Clint furious.
Let me know.
So Clint, are you going to tell me that Jalen Hurts played better than Dak Prescott this year? I'm just asking for a friend. How many times in the second half of games could you not score any points? I'm just asking. Now, when everything was perfect for Hurts the year before, when you had Saquon rushing for 2,000 yards, the offensive line was stout and uninjured. Yeah, he looked great. It's kind of like, there's the old saying, now a lot of y'all probably don't know this song, but when you got money, you got lots of friends. When you don't, they don't come around. And so that was Jalen Hurts. When he had all of those pieces around him, everybody was performing. The offensive line was blocking, giving him all kinds of time. You had Saquon, literally having to have 8 men in the box. So when he did pass that, he's got one-on-ones. Yeah. It was great. He was the life of the party. But after things kind of broke down a little bit there, it was a little bit harder to make things happen. I'm just saying. So that's where we are. Come Monday, everybody descends upon Indianapolis. The Cowboys thus far have not put the franchise tag on George Pickens. They finally started making the moves of getting some much-needed cap relief. Dirty Sanchez. What's up, Dirty? I'm going to call it Dirty Sanchez snagging wagon. At the end of every visit, you get a prize, a sticker, and a morning after. Oh, my God. Dirty, you so nasty. All right. Mark, I tell you, he just lets the hate slide off his back. Tough skin. Listen, I'm 60 years old, man. I done been through some real shit. Here's the thing, man. Y'all young people, man, are soft. My biggest thing is people always say, man, you're always working, man. Why, slow down and stuff. It's like, no, I come from a different generation. We didn't have any choice but to work. I grew up in a house. I had 4 brothers and sister. 4 brothers and a sister. And we had 1 bathroom. Now that I had Mark, I want more. Oh, I'm going to tell Miss Tracy on you, Rhonda. Thank you.
Money, 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 money.
My dad worked for the post office. And my mom did odd jobs, including being custodian at the school. And I shoveled snow. I couldn't wait for it to snow. It was like, oh, I'm going to make some money. On the weekends, I went up to my Aunt Mabel's house. I cut her grass. She had about 6 acres of grass to cut. I raked leaves in her house. Every weekend, I worked. I played high school football, ran track, and worked at McDonald's at the same time. Y'all kids don't understand work. Philly D, you had a paper route when you're 9 years old. Y'all sit around and just expect everything to just fall in your lap. It's not that way. I come from a childhood and a life where if you wanted something, you have to work for it. I'm not rich. I do okay. I definitely don't live above my means, where I feel like I got to have me the Mercedes Benz or the BMW or whatever. I can't even name them, okay? Or I got to have the latest pair of Jordans and stuff like that, because things like that, they're great to show somebody else to say, I got status. That's real cool, but that Mercedes, when it breaks down, it's going to cost you an arm and 3 legs to fix it. And at some point, it's going to be worthless. What you really need to invest in is not the damn Jordans, not them 27-inch rims. Invest in something that's going to make money. Invest in some real estate, or invest in yourself, your mind, a career, a business. Work hard for yourself. Because I got to tell you, y'all, in case you ain't noticed, AI and the world dynamics are changing. And a lot of you mother humpers that are sitting around waiting for shit to just fall in their lap are going to be left behind. This is no bullshit. The world is moving on. The question is, will you be moving on with them? All right, man. So now that I'm done, I'm going to go do some more work. And I'm going to get out of here. And I'm going to say today was a good day for the Dallas Cowboys. They're beginning the process of fixing their shit. And some people don't like that. They're moving differently. They're trying different things. And we are in a youth movement. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And I will see you soon. Peace out.
Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.
Oh, hold on. I got to stop right here. Clint, I don't know who the hell you are and who the hell you think you are to say, don't compare your generation to this generation. No, I'm going to tell you straight up, bro. I'm going to tell you straight up. Some of you young entitled motherfuckers that are sitting there in your mama's basement are screwed when your parents go. You don't have a skill. You don't have a damn job. You're sitting there waiting like a damn baby bird, feed me, and you don't know shit. Yes, I come from a generation that understands survival. I've been through shit. And I can guarantee you, I will come out the other side of that shit. So don't tell me, don't compare. No, you motherfuckers, you young punk ass, and that's it. You're one of those. How dare you compare your generation? Like, we're dirty or we're just not worthy of your generation. Your generation ain't done shit. Not a damn thing. You better wake the fuck up. And you know what? I learned something. Everybody, every single person out there can teach you something if your mind is open to it. And the day you stop learning is the day you die. Now, I don't know if your mind is open to real knowledge or learning or if you think that you got all the answers. I've been here for 60 years, bro. 60 years. When I was born in this country, if you were in the state of Virginia, a black man and a white woman could not marry. I was the first class that integrated. I've been through shit. I have seen shit. I remember when they landed on the damn moon. I remember when Martin Luther King was killed. I remember seeing the coffins coming from Vietnam. I have seen mistakes that have been made that I have a knowledge to pass on so others don't make the same ones. Yeah. Entitled is exactly what this generation feels like. They feel like they know everything. They know everything. Well, get back to me when you're able to buy a house or 2 or 3 or 4. Get back to me when you can actually take care of raising a family. Get back to me. Let me know how you do with that. Let me know. Let me know how you handle having a flesh-eating bacteria and just about die from it and have to learn how to walk again and raise 2 kids by yourself.